Hello everybody, my name is Fun, and I welcome you all back to the final video. The actual final video, not like the whole 80 characters I talked about. The final video for my Smash Ballot series of characters I would like to see in Super Smash Bros. DLC. I didn't originally plan on doing this for this series at the beginning, but I did kind of think of it at the end of all the characters I was talking about doing a top 10 list of characters from that list, the top 10 I most want to see. So here it is, and I hope you guys all enjoy it. See you all later. Number 10 is going to go to Captain Syrup herself from the Wario Land series. Captain Syrup has been in the Wario Land series since day one, basically being Wario's main antagonist rival in that series, thus making her a villain representation for Wario himself and for the Wario series. And Captain Syrup will also represent Wario Land more than Wario represents WarioWare. So we basically get a character that's more WarioWare and a character that's more Wario Land. She still is pretty important to the series due to the fact that she has been around since the beginning. She is still recent with Wario Land Shake It on the Wii, and her moveset potential as a pirate would be pretty unique. She's basically a pirate captain, where she could summon her pirate crew to attack for her, and on top of the fact that she could do some things like swinging from the ropes and probably using a sword and stuff like that. So basically a lot of her smash attacks would be standard, maybe like sword and kick and stuff like moves, but then a lot of her special attacks would basically be summoning her crew to attack for her, and I think she knows a little bit of magic, but I'm not fully sure. So basically using her special abilities like that. And I think that would actually lead to be a very interesting character. And it's a character that represents a series of Wario that doesn't really get a whole lot of representation. Like, WarioWare gets a lot more attention from Nintendo nowadays than Wario Land does. And Wario Land's been around since the Game Boy in the early 90s. I think by now we need like a character that specifically represents that. And so my pick for number 10 is going to go to Captain Syrup. Number 9 is going to be going to a third-party character, and that third-party character is going to be Bomberman from, well, obviously the Bomberman series. One of the third-party characters that I feel fits the Smash Brothers series to a T. One of the third-party characters that's so close, has so many ties to Nintendo, and has had them since, I think there was one on the original NES, but since the Super Nintendo, at least in my own memory, like how far I remember, I can go back with like the Super Bomberman series, and basically every system since then, 64, GameCube, Wii, DS, Game Boy Advance, everything. The franchise fits it so well. It's a very popular franchise from the late Hudson Soft, now owned by Konami, obviously, which kind of puts a little damper on the challenge of putting Bomberman in Smash Bros. To begin with, but it's so popular and iconic, I think it still fits. And the moveset being centered around bombs would be unique and different enough to the point where I think Bomberman would be a pretty fun character to actually see in Smash Brothers. Number 8 on this list is going to be going to a new Nintendo IP. I want a Nintendo IP that a lot of people are starting to really like. A new Nintendo IP that a lot of people are requesting to now be in Smash Brothers, whether that be Smash DLC now, or us having to wait till Smash 5 is another entire story, but it's here, and that would basically be the Inklings from Splatoon. Male and female, boy and girl Inklings, various different colors from orange to blue and pink and whatever, using the ink to shoot the ink guns and use the roller and do all that stuff to attack your enemies. It'd be a very, very interesting moveset, and it would represent a new Nintendo IP that's actually really getting a lot of hype now, and you'd be joking and kidding yourself if you think this is not going to become a franchise. We're going to see more Splatoon games. They're pushing DLC on this game. They're a free DLC till August, which should have been the game to begin with, but that's not what this list is about. The Inklings are the game is popular, the characters are popular and requested. Very interesting, unique new moveset. Inklings for Smash Bros. Easily. They deserve it. We need new Nintendo IPs in there. This is one of them, people. Number 7 on this list is going to be going to yet another Fire Emblem character for the roster. When we already saw the main 4 on the roster, and we've seen Roy. Forget that. This is a character that deserves to be in Smash Brothers, and it represents a new Fire Emblem. And that's going to be Corrin, formerly known as Kamui. So basically, we know the Japanese name is Kamui, and the English name is Corrin. And Smash Bros. For Fire Emblem Fates / Fire Emblem If. The new Fire Emblem that just, I think, recently has come out in Japan. We're not going to see it outside until early next year, but it's really getting a lot of hype now. It's a new entry in the series. Corrin can be just like Robin, male and female costumes. And basically we can get like interesting sword movesets with different items and weapons, because it looks like Corrin can actually use a lot of different types of weapons, a lot of different types of items and stuff. And the special ability of them being able to turn into that dragon form, especially for a Final Smash, would make them stand out fairly well, especially from the other 5 Fire Emblem characters. Corrin's getting a lot of hype. I mean, there's other characters from that game that are getting a lot of hype too, but Corrin seems to be the one that's getting quite a bit, and I have seen him requested a lot, and it does look like it'd be an interesting new Avatar character like what Robin was. And I really truly think that should be the next Fire Emblem character in Smash Bros. The next person on this list, the next character on this list at number 6 is going to be going to WayForward's character SHANTAE. Another third-party character that I feel really fits the mold for the Smash Bros. Series, especially due to the fact that basically every single game in the series since it was created back on the Game Boy Color has basically had a Nintendo version. And it'd be kind of easy to say the fact that she actually is a very popular character, and out of all third-party characters, one of the ones I've seen most requested. Would she fit in? Most certainly. It'd be another female representation for a third-party franchise that has a lot of history with Nintendo, moveset-wise. You know, you can go for genie abilities from the earlier games, for pirate-type stuff from the later ones. You can basically kind of mix and match and make her have a very diverse moveset. That would really be fun to use. And it would be a character that I think if she was put in Smash Brothers, she would actually become even more popular, and the franchise would get more known, because even though it's a lot popular now, she's still not the most known character, but she's getting there, and she has those Nintendo ties, and she would just be such an interesting choice. It's a genie! She's half genie! We don't have a character like that in Smash Brothers yet. SHANTAE for Smash Brothers. She's my number 6. Number 5. We are now in the top 5, and number 5 is going to go to a Legend of Zelda character. A Legend of Zelda character that I feel, especially with how important she is to the series, deserves to be put in Smash Brothers. Impa. Impa has been basically around in the series since the very beginning. There obviously are games that she's not in, but she's pretty much been a key character in the entire Zelda timeline in a lot of key Zelda games, from the original and to the second one, Adventures of Link, the Oracle games, Skyward Sword now, Link Between Worlds. She's in Hyrule Warriors. She's very important, very popular. I do see her demanded quite a lot. And it would be a very unique new character to this Smash Bros. Series for Legend of Zelda that doesn't revolve around characters that have the Triforce on them. It's no Link, Zelda, or Ganondorf. She's entirely new, and I do think the Zelda series, the Zelda franchise for representation, needs to have more characters than just the key people like that, and she is as key to the franchise as they are. And she could have a very interesting moveset with the big swords she has in Hyrule Warriors, her various ninja abilities, her various Sheikah abilities. It'd be interesting. I think she deserves it. Number 4 on my list, my top 10 list, is going to be going to another Xenoblade character. This character representing the new Xenoblade Chronicles X, out in Japan already, coming out at the end of this year. I think Shulk needs a companion, and one of the major characters from that game is basically Elma. And I think I could clearly see her in Smash Brothers. Like, I really think Xenoblade Chronicles X deserves representation, and I think she's the key character from that game to fill that representation. She's quite popular. I do see people asking for her. She's not the only Xenoblade Chronicles X character I hear asked for, but I think she's one of the key ones I hear asked for. And moveset potential, she's got like the big gun, she's got the small like sword laser things, she has the various different items. You can basically, any move, I don't know exactly what she's capable of and what every single item and weapon she's capable of using, but use those items, have something that she's using, Like, it would be a very unique character that would at least diversify her from Shulk with the Monado. She'd have, like, more of the general weapons, especially give her that big giant blaster rifle gun and the smaller ones. And that would be pretty key. And then make her final smash the Dao, or, you know, what in the world is the thing called in English? I forgot. Skrull or Skull. I forgot. Skrull. I forgot what the English name of it is called, but, you know, the Dao. Give her the giant mech to just wreak havoc as her final smash and send everyone flying. I really think Elma should be in Smash Brothers. She would be just so awesome. She's my number 4. We are in the top 3 now. The top 3. And my next character is going to go to Advance Wars with Andy. One franchise. One key franchise I think deserves to be in Smash Brothers, and I think has been shafted 2 games now. Andy from Advance Wars. He's one of the key main characters in the game. He's like, out of all the Advance Wars characters, he's probably much the most requested one of the bunch. He's probably one of the most original ones of the bunch too, because he would fight with his wrenches, summon infantry and tanks and all that, like recon type vehicles and all that stuff to attack the stage. He'd have his healing abilities. He'd be very, very unique. So you have like a war character that's not fully war. So it's not like, you know, guns and like grenades and everything. He's a CEO commanding officer that summons infantry to attack for him, and also can use his healing abilities. And we have never really saw a person fighting with wrenches in Smash Bros. Before. And I think he'd be very unique, very different. And Advance Wars needs representation, and I feel he would be one of the most interesting choices for it. I do think Andy needs to be in Smash Bros. One day, or someone from Advance Wars. Number 2 is going to be going to Ichijo from Sin and Punishment, and a character in a franchise that I truly believe makes sense for Smash Brothers and should be in. I just recently came off number 3 saying Advance Wars deserves representation. Sin and Punishment deserves representation too. Yes, there's only 2 games, but it has become kind of a cult hit from Nintendo. The first game, when it was, a Japanese import on the Wii, and then Star Successor was localized, like, people talk about it. It's like Star Successor is one of the key, like, franchise, key games, hidden gems on the Wii. A lot of people like it. It's a very challenging game. Has very likable characters and story and whatnot. Ichijo being the main character, a diverse moveset for him, with the jetpack, the laser, gun, sword type thing. He knows acrobatics. He can pretty much punch and kick. He can do a lot of things maneuvering around the stage. I think he'd be a very, very interesting character, and it's a character I truly want. I truly want him to be in Smash Brothers, or someone from that series. It's so underrated, so underused. Put a character in Smash Brothers, and this series will take off. Like, Ichijo would be such an amazing character, and I hope one day that Sin and Punishment can reach that level of stardom to be in Smash Brothers. I wish we could start it now, though. And before we get to number 1, here's going to be a few honorable mention choices of characters I think make sense for Smash Brothers DLC. We are finally here at number 1, and it's going to be going to Simon Belmont from the Castlevania series. Now, why would I be putting Simon Belmont at number 1? First and foremost, he's basically my most wanted third-party character right now, and while I may not be the biggest Castlevania fan, I do see how Simon Belmont, or any of the other Belmonts for that matter, Castlevania in general, fits so well into the Smash Brothers series. The Castlevania series has been around since like the NES, and practically every single Nintendo system, for the most part, since then, home console and handheld, with some exceptions, have had a Castlevania game on it. It has very close ties, long, historical, close ties to Nintendo. And Simon Belmont is a very popular, iconic third-party character, and a character in video games in general. Very demanded, like one of the bigger third-party characters I do see demanded for the game. Moves have potential to be up, like, to be so crazy, from the whip to the holy water, the daggers, to basically the magical abilities he's able to use, to the throwing knives, which I said daggers already, oops, and, every other ability that he basically has, especially the whip. It'd be a very interesting moveset, very different. And I am not sure why in the world he has yet to not be in Smash Bros. With how close he is to him. People may want Snake back in as the Konami representation. No. I like Snake a lot. But Simon Belmont and Castlevania fit Nintendo so much more to the T. He needs to be in Smash Bros. Needs to be the Konami representation, because there's so much more you could do with him than you could do with Snake. And that's why he's my number one most wanted character I want to see as DLC in Super Smash Bros. 4. Hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe if you want to, and stay tuned for more videos. See you all later.